Hi, everybody. I'm Aaron Shea. Thank you for joining us for Habitat Now. We're going to be taking a trip to a bigger splash. Pretend we're all in Florida. We're all at the exhibition down in the warm weather, checking out the beautiful artwork and the space down there. And this particular talk is now open to the public and being streamed. We did an earlier version for the Glass Coast weekend, but now it's time to open it up and make sure people get a chance to talk to the artists. And I thank you all for joining me. Many of the artists are here today, and I know people are watching on YouTube. So if you like this kind of content, there'll be more. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and there'll be more in the future. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Let me get my presentation running here and click this stuff down. And I'm looking forward to just giving you some fun stuff off at the beginning. And here we go. So share my sound. Welcome. Ignore the date because we're past that date already. Welcome to Splash. I want to thank you, just give you a little glimpse into my life a little bit. Celebrating my birthday, my wife put these little videos together or pictures together celebrating it and posted them online. And it's just a big thank you from my family to yours. Getting through this time has been very interesting. Keeping the kids happy and entertained has been very fun while working very hard. And I'm super grateful and thank you again. I'm just going to give you a little glimpse early into Project Tango, Leah Wingfield's little presentation that she gave. What's so interesting about this is she's completing these commissions and they're going out and no one's really seen this content other than the fact that it was created and each of these videos go out to the individual people who purchased these limiteds. So she put a little video together. It's about 4 minutes long and it's just so great. I had to show everybody. So hopefully this will play and you'll get a chance to see a little bit of her process, and then we'll continue on to the presentation for Splash. And voila, from creation to fruition. It's an amazing thing to see. Very fun indeed. And just wanted to share that because you don't really get to see stuff like that very often. And that was sent to the individual who purchased that work, and now it's on its way. Little housekeeping here. So we just launched our Habatat Limited for Jen Blazina called Atari 2021. This is a very fun throwback to the nostalgia of the 80s, something she kind of grew up in, as did I. And these are now available on our Habatat Limited page. They're doing quite well. They're very fun. Some people have been buying them as gifts for their children. I have one. I'm just a child of the 80s, so I couldn't pass this one up as well. Manatsuke just released a limited that was kind of a quick process. Him and I came together to raise funds for Crafting the Future. It's a small little 3-piece plus some extra limited edition he creates upon order, and they ship directly to you. And 50% of the sale price, so it's $1,600 plus shipping, $800 goes to charity. And he's had quite a few orders so far for that. It's great to be able to raise funds for Crafting the Future, a very important organization I'd love to tell you more about in a later conversation. In May, we are launching our digital international called Habatat Direct. And we're going to be theming it all online, and there'll be some VIP days, as you can see beforehand. And it will be a lot like last year with some new bells and whistles. And we've reached out to a lot of the artists in the Habatat family and look forward to sharing this presentation with you then. Alongside that exhibition, we'll be releasing an exhibition called Viral Glass. And there's plenty of details about this, and we're still in the early phases. It is going to be quite an amazing presentation. And we've had someone on board to help organize the show. And we're looking forward to it. So I'll provide more details later. This is what we're talking about, though, in September 4th of 2021 to hopefully get together again in person for celebrating 50 years of our international to do a physical show. So hopefully we'll have their shots by then, and we'll be all in the herd mentality of safety. Looking forward to seeing you all. Our next mega auction, we're trying to plan for March 25th. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We'll see if it comes together. We have some great consignments, and we're having a photographer coming this weekend. So keep you in the loop on that. If you haven't seen our YouTube page or want to share them or see them again, Habatat Now on YouTube is a great place to see these videos we've been doing since May of last year. And now we're going to kick into Splash. This is a lot of fun. This was a great exhibition, partnering with all the artists in our Habatat family to put artwork that's up available in the theme of color. These artists are all the masters of color, whether it's subtle or elaborate. And we're honored to have a lot of them joining us today. So thank you all for joining us. Here's a small glimpse. It's still at glasscoastweekend.com for the rest of the month, and probably a little bit of next month. So people are still buying and looking from the site. All the works are available for purchase. So I want to start off by showing Steve Lynn's video. He created an amazing presentation about his career and his life, and we haven't shown it before, and he's in our show. So I wanted to start off the presentation by sharing this, which I'm excited about. I think it was fantastic. So please enjoy this glimpse into Steve's career, life, and work.
I do documentary portraiture, documentary sculpture. Once I find an artist or a person or an occupation that I'm really fascinated by, I delve deeply into what their life is about, what their work is about, and try to make a sculpture that encompasses all of those elements and tells their story. Quite frankly, I work 6-7 days a week. I get to the studio around 9:15 in the morning. I leave around 6 in the afternoon. I go home for lunch for a little bit. But 3 things that are important for me in life: my family, my studio and work, and my friends. Is a poster from an exhibition from 1969 in Oklahoma City. And I just recently found it when I was scavenging through a box of old stuff, and I thought it was wild to see what I looked like back in 1969.
You didn't change some more.
That's the hair.
Glass is not necessarily totally central to my work, although it appears in most of my pieces since 1983. But before 1983, and when I began my professional career in the late 1960s, I worked in bronze and wood. And I did that until I got an idea to do a sculpture about Imogen Cunningham, who was a photographer who worked with an 8x10 view camera, and her images were on glass plates. The negatives were on glass plates. And because of that, I got an idea to do her on a glass plate, and that began my evolution in working in glass. This piece is actually a portrait of Anselm Kiefer, but it's also a message of hope, something like what occurred during World War II would never happen again. It's to remind people that it did happen and not to forget it. C'est pas le central, mais ça existe.
In English. We're going to keep this this footage.
That was a lot of fun. I'm glad Steve made that. It was a incredible video, and I'm happy to share it today. And that takes us into our first artist, who is Steve Lynn. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Unmute myself, and I'm happy to be here and to talk about this particular piece. It's about Yves Klein, the iconic French painter and performance artist, who is famous for the color blue, which a particular shade of blue, which he invented and kept secret throughout his entire career. Many of you know the song Volare by Domenico Modugno, which was originally titled Nel blu dipinto di blu. And the blue that's referenced in that song was directly referenced to the artist Yves Klein. And he also thought he could fly and that he could levitate. So he did this incredible photograph where he jumped off of the top of a wall, and it shows him flying through space. And of course, the photo was a negative montage, which predated Photoshop. And many of his paintings had sponges in them. So I showed him, of course, landing on the sponges. But in this case, in the sculpture, the sponges are made out of wood. That's about it.
So Steve, I put a couple more pieces in because we're only going to talk about the works of the artists that attended the show. So you can have a couple more shots here with the rest of the works you have in the exhibition.
Oh, great. Thank you. This is a piece, I dreamt I was a model for George Segal. George Segal was a famous sculptor who wrapped people up in plaster bandages and then used those models as sculptures. And he was one of my early heroes. I met him first time in the 1960s when he came to give a lecture at the University of Illinois, where I was a student. And he and Ed Keenholz were probably the greatest influences on my figurative and documentary work. And this is a piece about Pete Volkas, who was a ceramic sculptor, and he took ceramics from the realm of wheel-thrown work to the realm of large-scale sculptural images. I knew him. I taught at the University of California at Santa Cruz. He was at Berkeley, and every year we would have these sculpture conferences at one of the UC campuses where he and Bob Arneson and many of the people who were on the faculties would get together and throw out ideas to students, and it was a great time. And he was an artist who I really admire.
Thank you, Steve, for joining us today. I appreciate that. And great video. I hope more people have a chance to see it.
Pleasure to be here. Look forward to everybody else's work.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. All right, Tim, come on, jump in, and let's talk about your new works.
Thanks so much. If you go to the colored one for a second.
Sure.
All righty. There we go. I put this one in because it's an all glass piece with a cast glass frame. And a lot of you know of my love of Victorian techno fetishism, where you have this formal Victorian beauty overlaid with 20th century technology. So I went to research what mirrors were in endless mirrors in the history of it. And so now you can go back to the gold one. So when you search for mirrors or endless mirrors, Aaron, can you take me back to the gold one? You can't help but go to Versailles, where I had it. So as I'm looking at the mirrored room in Versailles, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, I wanted to see if I could make a piece that would look as if it was from Versailles, that had this technology or had this illusion been possible at that time outside of a room, it would have seemed like magic. And I just thought this would be a great piece to put inside Versailles. So that's a gold-plated piece.
The detail.
There's a detail of it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful. My wife loves butterflies.
And also,
Tim, have you been in Versailles? Sorry, interrupting you.
No, please do.
Have you ever been in Versailles inside?
I've never been there. Have you?
I can send you tons of images from inside, maybe for inspiration.
There we go. Well, would that have fit?
You muted yourself, Michael.
You muted yourself.
Oh, of course.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, I'm hoping that this one would have too. It's a 42-inch round floral field that we spent 3 weeks making with 2,000 separate waxes, and then made a 4-foot mold on this thing, a 4.5-foot mold. And so that one was sent out to be gold plated as well. And I just thought I'd go towards gold a little bit on this particular show.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
my
beautiful,
splash of gold.
beautiful color, royal, just stunning. This is giant, 42 inches. It's just got to understand the scale of that and how it would catch people's eye. Thank you, Tim,
Thank you
for joining us today. Oh, did you have any favorites you wanted to point out in the?
Oh my gosh, yes. I Stephanie Trenchard, I love you forever, and I always will. Jennifer Caldwell and Jason Chakravarty, I love your piece, but I got to give a heads up to Ross Richmond's horses and the fact that he's here with us today. So I took 3, even though I was supposed to only pick 2.
Right, you said Ross Richmond and Stephanie
Trenchard.
Yeah,
There we go.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
Jason and Jennifer, of course.
All right, let me get to Jason. I can just type it in.
God knows which one they're under.
Yeah,
there they are.
There we go.
I love their bees. I always will.
Yeah, always will.
But I love all the work. I mean, I'm randomly picking 3, but there's such good work in this. But there's my 3 of the moment. If you ask me in an hour, I'll pick 3 different ones.
Right, that's how it goes. I appreciate that, Tim. All right, here we go. We got Josh and Aiken. Are you around, guys?
I am. Hi, everybody. Aiken, are you here?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for being here and having us. Really, always a pleasure to join you for these, and always so much fun to see everybody else's work as well. Ekin, do you want to start us off?
So we're a collaborative team. We currently work from Michigan. We're pretty new with our new idea, cityscapes. So this particular piece, we were imagining the story or new world that was coming, hopefully is still coming, and that is sunny and bright, and that the world that we see each other more often. So a little bit of the details, and the technique is we blow the pieces and cut and sandblast them. So to create all the design on the surface and drawings that we work on them for a long time to accomplish.
Yeah. I also really, I think I said this during the last sort of meetup, but want to reiterate the sort of theme of the show is super special and unique. I think, or what's unique is the way that glass itself kind of interacts with. I think all these works throughout the show are really a fantastic example of light and how special glass is as a sculptural material.
I gotta tell you guys, these look magnificent. You guys are making beautiful things every day, and your techniques getting better and better. And I think everybody needs one of your works in their collections, like many of the artists. And I'm grateful for you guys to join us.
Thank you.
Did you guys have a favorite else to mention in the show you particularly pointed out?
Oh man, there's so much good stuff. I think Tim just said it. Ross Richmond's horses. I hadn't seen those before, and I really think they're super phenomenal. Really special.
Yeah, they're quite amazing.
Tim's work is always is captivating, incredible. But there's just so much to pick any kind of favorite.
Well, good guys. Well, thanks for joining us today. We'll kick off now. I got Stephanie. Are you around? I know I saw you. There you are. Good.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Tim, for the shout out. That always feels good. Although I know you love everybody as much as me, but can I talk about the other piece, the one with the two heads?
Yeah.
This is kind of a new piece I've been working on. I'm kind of excited about it because my work, as you can tell, is usually 2D. It's really kind of in that nowhere ambiguous area between 2D and 3D. So this is a piece that really kind of addresses that. And it's a diptych. So these two sections are not fused together. And there are some other images, I don't know if you can show them, that show the back. Yeah, so the back has also a face and then two faces looking away. And then the piece itself can be rearranged so that the two faces are facing each other. Oops, sorry, somebody's just coming and going here. So yeah, like when I think about work, other people's work, I kind of spent a little time thinking about it, and what kind of makes me excited about work is the story. Obviously, all my pieces are storytelling, and I respond to other people's work with the story. I really liked Atsuko Toshimi's piece. That's the first I ever heard of that piece. Really, especially that blue one, I really responded to that. I wasn't familiar with her. And I actually picked three pieces. I also really respond to Steve Lynn's piece with the Yi line diving over the puddle of blue. Like, that's pretty spectacular. That's just such a beautiful moment and really sublime. I really respond to the intimacy of all the details and the gesture. I really like Jen Violet's Staying Afloat. I thought that was a really powerful piece. Kind of is that bridge between being a little more narrative and then also having an abstract quality that is just so beautiful and seductive with the glass can do. So, and then Tim, I loved your Versailles piece. And I know, I mean, I obviously thought that was a reference to the Hall of Mirrors. And so it kind of works really well with that infinity and kind of that sort of that arrogance of forever. So yeah, so that's kind of, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of going on and on. Actually, there has been a rock and roll song written about my Coded Women piece, like the 5 women. And at some point I'm gonna be able to post it. It's just brand new. There's a musical residency program in our town, and every February they write about art pieces. And this year they've chosen to write about one of mine, and it was a pretty amazing rock and roll song. So I wish I could play it for you right now, but maybe next time.
Maybe
Last time
next
I got poem, so you've really been patient indulging me.
No worries. We'll look forward to sharing that in some shape or form. We have the social media. We can do it almost any time. Well, thank you, Stephanie, for talking about the work. It's really great. Let me get back into the old PowerPoint. All right, let's continue on. Sydney, how there? I know you're around. Are you there? You unmute yourself and join me.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, great to have you,
Hello.
Sid.
Hi.
I put this work in and this work in and this work in, so you can start anywhere you want.
Okay. Well, this piece here was made in 2000, and it was Millennium Meltdown. Actually, one of my favorite artists and a person who I really miss a lot, Stephen Powell, invited me to be in a show at the Kentucky Arts and Crafts Center. And it was a show about the millennium. I don't know how many people remember back 21 years ago, but it was a big deal. We thought the world was going to end, and look what we've lived through in the last 21 years. But I made this piece, which was about the melding of colors. So it just uses the primary colors of red, yellow, and blue. And you can see as the your view of it, you can see the transition of the colors. And like most of my work that uses the dyes or pigments, depending on the angle of your eye and the incidence of reflection, that's what you're going to see as far as colors go. And I made a lot of solid vase forms because one of the things was, I know everyone knows that I basically use the vase or the vessel as my idiom or my motif for my work, and I've investigated it in all kinds of different orientations or interpretations. And one of the things is that I work always, I have a certain integrity with the work where I need to do it as long as it takes until it gets done. So that being said, I don't make a whole lot of work though after, you know, being 66 now and looking back over 45 years or whatever it is of my career, I've made a lot of pieces. And as an example, this piece is, it's the title of it, or the moniker for it is VHSB SPB #2, and it's a vertical helix solid perfume bottle. And so this was a take on a perfume bottle. I got a commission from a gallery to make a perfume bottle for this client. And so I ended up making this, and it's a totally different type of interpretation of a vessel. But it uses that whole concept of color again, where you're looking at the red, yellow, and the blue transferring through the glass. And that's 16 years after I made the solid vase form, which uses the same primary colors. And I just actually, I went to, I live in Massachusetts. They finally opened up the Museum of Fine Arts last week, and I got tickets, and we went to the museum, and we went into the museum store, and there happened to be a bunch of books on color, and I happened to be looking at a couple of them, and they were talking about pigment and dye. And one of the things that like these pieces use pigment, the previous piece used pigment, but the very first, the solid vase form, uses dye. There's a technical aspect to my work which continues nonstop, and people wonder, well, when are you gonna retire? And I don't think I can retire because I still have so many projects and interests to follow and pursue. So I guess you're all stuck with me for a while longer. Now, as far as other pieces in the show, I think as artists age, you should probably get less competitive and more respectful of everyone who makes work, because as an example, the COVID has taught us how important our work is, I think. I've spent the last year in my studio. I don't feel restricted. I mean, I feel restricted by the mask and by trying to stay safe, and like my assistant, you know, we yell at each other, 6 feet, you know, and things like that. But it's been a blessing in a way in disguise, because we've been able to work. So I have to say that I like everyone's work in the show, and there are certain favorites that I have, but I'm not going to play favorites, which is an interesting thing, because I was at an opening once at a gallery, and it was a Lino show, and a client walked up to Lino. It was one of these shows where you could go inside and outside, and we were outside in the driveway talking, and I was standing next to him, and she said, "Which piece do you like best, Mr. Tagliapietra?" And he looked at her, and she was an older lady, and he said, "Which grandchild do you like best?" And she looked at him, and she shook her head in an acknowledgement, walked back in the gallery, and picked out a piece for herself. And I think that's, you know, sort of indicative of art. Some people like some people like blue, some people like red. And it's just what art to me is what turns you on, or what elicits a response. And so everybody's work is fantastic.
Thank you, Sydney. I appreciate you being here today and sharing your thoughts. Thank you once again. Peter, will you join us? I know I saw you earlier. Let me see if you're still around.
I'm here.
There you are. All right.
Oh, I so agree with you, Sydney. You just said exactly the right thing. I have a very similar kind of feeling. We're all colleagues. We're all working very, very hard. Of course, there are people whose work appeals more to you or less to you, but it doesn't matter. We're all in the same sea, you know, and we're all trying to swim and fish at the same time. So I think it's good not to necessarily pull out people and say, "Oh, these are my favorites," because I find it very difficult, to be honest, to even say who are my favorites, because
I agree. There's so many amazing pieces in there. It's really hard to
there's so
pick
many
out.
amazing pieces, and sometimes an artist disappoints me. Sometimes an artist really stands out, and you know, so it's just a moment in time, and so is this. And I just want to say I'm really happy to see you all, you guys. You know, I mean, there's so many artists here right now, and I wish there would be more collectors, because Jack, you're the exception, because Jack is always here. So I just want to say that
Alan and I were always here also.
yes, that is very true. That is very true. Now, I really appreciate anyone who shows up for these Zooms. It's wonderful to share this. And frankly, I don't really want to talk about my work. I really like to talk about the friendship and the fact that we're all sharing this this moment of connecting. I miss you guys. I've you know, ever since last sofa that didn't happen. It's a daily awareness that we're dealing with what we're dealing with, and we're trying to make the most of it. And some of you I'm in touch with, some of you more than others, and I love that. But I really enjoy seeing all your faces and hearing you all, and that's actually more important to me right now than the individual pieces or even my pieces. I hope you can appreciate that.
Yep, we can. It's all in the spirit of things, and we see each other now via Zoom more than ever. So I'm grateful for the technology that's developed to let us do this, because I couldn't imagine how they did this in, you know, in the Spanish flu era when everybody didn't know what was going on at all. And I don't know how they updated people without Twitter or whatever we use now. But thank you, Peter, for joining us today. Beautiful work.
Thank you, sir.
Jen, are you around? I know I saw you earlier. Got a piece of two of yours on deck.
Hi.
There you are. Hi, Jen.
Hi, how you doing? Aaron,
well.
thanks for having me. I just noticed my name's spelled wrong there, but no worries.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
No worries. This is one of my pieces called Staying Afloat. It's a new piece, and I just wrote a little thing I'm just going to read about the influence of you know, or my inspiration for this piece. And I have one other piece too, I believe, that that you have on there called Staying Afloat. And there it is. As a glass artist during the pandemic, things have been challenging at times, from glass studio shutdowns to gallery closings to homeschooling our boys last spring, along with the political unrest and turmoil in our country during the past year. I was psyched when Aaron invited me to be in Splash, and I've really been inspired by these virtual habitat exhibits, and I enjoy focusing on making new work for them. It's really, you know, a good thing for me to kind of work out new sculptures and come up with new ideas. I was thinking about the show title Splash, and I decided I wanted to make some pieces with a water theme, which I haven't really done a lot of as far as like my, you know, this type of sculpture, working with water. It's more like landscapes. So I also experimented with some new colors along the Splash theme as well, trying to find colors that best represent color and depth of the ocean. I had a couple of small bronze components that I had previously made, a rowboat and a buoy. These were both hand sculpted out of wax initially, and then I brought them to a friend of mine and he had cast them in bronze. I decided to incorporate these new pieces into these new water pieces. I worked with a couple new blue-gray glass colors and created ocean-like glass bubbles. After getting them formed just right, I then put on special Kevlar gloves. This is all being done in the hot shop. And I torched an area on one side of each bubble. I picked up the tiny bronze boat or buoy with tweezers and carefully into that heated area, I carefully squished it into the hot torched area several times to make an exact impression of the little boat or buoy in the surface of the glass bubble. I then removed the bronze piece and anneal the glass base piece separately. Once the glass pieces are cooled, I sandblast them, giving them a softer, more translucent finish. On both of these sculptures, the bronze components are removable from the glass base. So on this piece, Changing Tides, this piece was inspired by a lot of the recent happenings in our country, both politically and pandemic-wise. It's a piece representing change, optimism, hope, and renewal. Hope for positive changes to come, optimism for our country as a whole, and hope for the good health for all of us with the vaccine rollout, etc. It's about trying to remain hopeful and optimistic through these tough times. And I have the piece here. I just wanted to show a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see, if you can see this, but I just wanted to show how the boat is like a separate little piece. I'll hold it a little bit closer. So here's like the indentation of the boat piece, and then it fits in there pretty snugly. So anyway, there's that piece.
Thank you.
And then on the next piece, the Staying Afloat piece, this piece reflects back on all the trials and tribulations, both emotionally, financially, and creatively that I experienced as an artist and mom during 2020 and early 2021, and how we somehow managed to all stay afloat through all of it. I think a lot of my fellow artists can probably relate. And I have that piece here. So here's this one. And again, the little indentation where the buoy fits, and it fits in really pretty nicely, and just, you know, it's kind of a sweet, it's a small but mighty little piece, and it really is beautiful in the natural light. It's a little bit hard to tell at the moment, but.
Thank you, Jen. Sorry about spelling your name wrong, but I'll fix it in the
Oh,
future.
that's all right. No worries.
Did you have a favorite in the Splash show you wanted to mention?
I do. I have. I love the whole exhibit. I mean, I think it's amazing. Some of the ones that stand out for me is, again, I think it's a common theme, but Ross Richmond's, especially his piece called Amble, which is the one on the far left. That horse piece I just think is amazing. I had seen Ross do a demo years ago at Pilchuck, and just watching his, just watching him sculpt and the way he sculpts from inside the bubble and outside, and just the the beautiful like fluidity and grace he gets in these forms, just all freehand sculpted, and the softness and, you know, gesture is just really, really lovely. And the amazing amount of skill and technical ability to create that piece is really quite wonderful. I love how they're cropped off, you know, so you get this, you know, overall gesture of the horse, but yet the whole, you can imagine the rest of the piece, and just that particular one really speaks to me. And then also Kate Rhodes's piece, I guess it's right above that, the kind of egg-shaped one in the middle, Oleo. I really love that piece. I've known Kate since the mid 90s. And I was a teaching assistant for her at Penland years ago. And we actually pulled some of her probably kind of early hex marinis that of other colors, but I really love the colors in this piece, and the technique that she uses with the copper wire to kind of weave them all together. And I love the different colors and the different sizes of Marini in this piece. And I just think it's, you know, the fact that it's this overall kind of somewhat soft form, but that she's made it so tight of this perfect kind of egg sort of ellipse is really wonderful. So
it's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. And thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Shelly, are you around? You notice the order's a little hokey today. We mix it up with just having some fun here. So thanks for joining us, Shelly.
For having me, Eric. I'm so used to going first that I'm really completely out of sorts here. Thank you also for powering through Habatat. You guys just have given such momentum to these virtual shows and kept us all interested in them for the entire month that they've been up. So I really appreciate that, and I really appreciate being able to touch base with you guys too. It gets pretty lonely out here in our rural county. So
she must have froze for a second.
I found that during this past year, I've done. Oh, have I frozen?
You're back now. Go ahead and keep continuing.
I have been doing a lot of reading over this past year and pulling out a lot of my favorite books. And I just want to read you a really short quote from someone who's inspired me since the 80s, Joseph Campbell. It has always been the prime function of mythology and art to supply the symbols that carry the human spirit forward, in counteraction to those that tend to hold it back. And I thought that was just so applicable to all of us who are pursuing art through this time. And it really just stresses the importance of art and our human spirit, and that we all need something to, you know, get us past all of these things in life that tend to, you know, hold us back, you know, make us stay in isolation, etc. But I really feel like over this past year, I've been thinking about what, you know, the reason for making work, and I realized that it is to portray who we are as humans, to lift us up, to communicate. And really, I work with the animal figure. I've worked with horses all my life, and I've always tried to capture their spirit, but I'm realizing that it's actually humanity that I'm trying to show the relationship in the animal foremost. Anyway, I know I'm going off on a tangent there, but I really want the pieces to look like they've been made by human hands. I want them to be tactile. I want you to want to touch them and possibly, you know, stir an emotion or a story or an experience that you've had with a particular animal. But anyway, I'll stop there. I just want to congratulate everybody too on such great work and for persevering. And I will not pick a favorite, but I do want to say that I am in love with Laura Donover still, since she was my teacher from the early 90s. It was one of her classes that I took where I was feeling like the confines of glassblowing were too restrictive for the way that I wanted to work. And I took a class with Laura Donover in Red Deer, Alberta. And she had us all out marvering the bubble in the gravel out on the driveway. And I just thought, oh, this is it. She's not following any rules. And that's how I'm going to live my life by too. That's how I'm gonna, you know, continue to blow glass, but try to think outside of the realm of tradition. A lot of this work, as you can see, it's done hot and cold and hot and cold and adding different materials and textures. So I hope to carry on Laura's spirit in my own work. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you, Shelley. That was great. I appreciate that. I didn't know that little history of you and Laura. That's great to hear too. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, let's go to IRDS. You guys around?
Yes.
Oh, great. So I have a couple pictures of this piece and I put the purple piece in too. So a little variety to see.
Thanks, Aaron. Hi, my name is Ingrid and I am one half of the artist duo IRDS. Thanks for having us here today. We are happy to be here. And I would like to speak about our relationship with color. Color is like our signature. It's what we are most known for. There is an emotional connection with color, and then collectors have their own experience with our work through color. This is very important for us. With color, there is so many possibilities. We create shades, different intensities, mix and combine colors, creating new colors within a sculpture's shapes. Imagine it's like music that you listen to with your eyes, a huge, deep energy that speaks to you.
Very nice. Thank you guys for talking about it. You guys explore color a lot, and I wanted to show this particular piece because last time we showed one image and now you can really see the different views of their style and techniques, and these are just stunning works and we've done really well, and thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you Tim.
We'll see if Trina was here. I didn't see her, but she could show up
I'm
out of
here.
nowhere. Oh, all right. Hi Trina. How
You
are
guys
you?
hear me okay?
I can hear you great.
Cool, awesome. I'm here chilling with my kitty. So this piece, is there other pieces included as well, Aaron?
You got this guy, and this guy.
Oh, so all three. Cool. So this whole series of, I don't even have an official title for them. I've just been calling them the bunnies or polka dot rabbits, or mostly bunnies, I guess I've been calling them. These are all made on the torch and they're actually super challenging to make. I've been working out this process for, I want to say 4 or 5 years, and I have some older ones that just kind of sit in my cabinet and bits and pieces of them, because even though polka dots are like, you know, inherently like a simple pattern, it was actually really difficult to figure out the process, because when you add material, it's going to thicken the walls and make everything move different. So working this out was super challenging. So I'm really excited to finally kind of have that technique down. I kind of been keeping the polka dot trick secret. Whenever I take pictures in my studio, I kind of like hide my process of that because I'm not like ready to share it yet.
It's all yours.
Keeping with the tradition of old school glass blowing, I guess, keeping some secrets. So when making these pieces too, what I really try and find is like the continuous line between the forms. When flame working, and oftentimes in the hot shop too, you're making a lot of parts and then you're assembling them. And it can sometimes be difficult to find the continuous flowing line from one part to the next. And it's extra difficult in flame working, I find too, because everything's like small elements and you don't want everything hot at once the way you do in the hot shop. So that's really been a technical feat for me, which I think I got down now finally.
Yeah, these are very, very fun.
So favorite pieces, I have a lot of them. I think I would choose Shelley and Ross, mainly because I'm a huge fan of animals and I love their work. And definitely a shout out to Ross, because I took a class with him, I think 2 summers ago, and I learned so very much. And although I don't work in the hot shop very much these days, I do apply a lot of the like skills, techniques, and concepts to sculpting at the torch. And also he's totally still been helping me. I send him messages and ask him questions and he answers right away, and is totally helping me work out a piece I'm working on right now. So thanks, Ross.
Thanks for being here, Trina. That's great. And these are very, very fun. We're doing quite well with them. Thank you again.
Thanks.
All right, next we're jumping to Laura. Laura, I saw you a minute ago. We have something special to unveil, don't we, Laura?
Am I unmuted?
You are unmuted. I can hear you now.
Oh my God, you'd think I'd know what to do by now. I'm feeling very emotional, you know.
Mhm.
I guess it's because it's been almost a year. We live way out in the country, like Rick and Shelley do, and I did not realize how much my cycle of my life was attached to Habitat. And you know, I'm actually like crying here. I've been with Habitat for over 28 years, and so my year is making work for the International, making work for SOFA, seeing all my friends, going to Florida, being with collectors and everyone. And so that has been completely broken. And we're just here. You know, I can't see my daughter in New York City. We can't cross the border. And what I've been doing is painting. So I can't really work as hard as I did because I broke my hand. And yes, I think there is something to reveal. It's a picture of something I just finished, right, Aaron?
You are. Can I show everybody?
Sure, sure. Because
all right, cool.
In fact, it's just right here. You can see how small it is. That's about as big as I've been able to go. This is the only piece Habitat has available.
Right.
So would make a very nice birthday present for someone. But I started the amulet baskets day after 9/11, and I started them because I was having a show in Manhattan, and I was feeling like this event blasted into our lives and wanted to somehow bind the world back together. And I have a lot of positive energy and a lot of love within myself. So basically the baskets are a manifestation of that. And I'm trying to feed everyone with color, with my brilliant color choices. Not my brilliant, but the colors brilliant together. And that's what these amulet baskets mean. They're the manifestation of kind of my love and hope for the world. And so I think during the pandemic, I'd like to be working more on them, but I have to get my hand a little bit better. But I'm really sad being without you all. That's basically what I want to say.
I can give you all a big hug through the
Anyway,
through the
big hug. And we're going through horrible family things right now, and it's just so difficult. I can't tell you. It's just we're in a pretty difficult spot. So
we're all here for you. We're all here for you, Laura. And if you need anything, contact us anytime. Hug.
Oh, I want to say one thing though. Okay. So, I mean, I've been with Habitat for 28 years. It's really impossible for me to choose among my brothers and sisters and cousins, which art I like, because I started writing a list and I basically wrote everybody's name down. So I thought that's no good. But I wanted to say that close to my heart, there's an artist who doesn't show up very often, and her name is Carmen Vetter, and her work speaks to my soul. It's crunchy and it's textured, and it basically looks like everything that I find dear. So I'd like to shout out to Carmen. And there's a young artist who I don't think I've met yet, named Finn Rawlinson. He made a pink, oh, look at that, Carmen. Oh, geez. Someday. So Tim Rawlinson made a pink piece that is very unlike any kind of work that I'm capable of, but it looked like kind of a little inner love burst. So I wanted to just shout out to people that aren't always, with family. They're newer members. And Aiken and Josh, okay? Aiken, Itek, and Josh Davis. They are my babies, and I'm allowed to call them that because it's a situation that I'll have to tell you when we see each other all in person over some cocktails. But I became a minister to marry them. So I married the two of them together in Texas. It was a story. So I think they're wonderful, and I'm really, really proud of them.
We
Okay,
love you.
that's all. Thank you. Need a tissue.
Well, thank you, Laura, for being here today and sharing with us. And like I said, we're grateful to have you in our family. 28 years, impressive. That's a beautiful piece. Keep her safe. Find a home for her soon. All right, Jason and Jennifer, you guys around?
Unmute.
All right, we can hear you.
Yay! Success.
Success.
Hi. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Sam, for putting this together. It's great to see all the work. I definitely have favorites. I have no problem saying that I appreciate everyone's technical abilities and the diversity that they have with their process, but I would love to have that Michael Janis, any one of them, in their house every day. So the three pieces that we have in the show were something that new casting techniques that we were trying out this summer. We spent our summers up in Washington, and it was especially helpful this year because we are out in the middle of nowhere when we're up there. And so, and the way we work is almost like camping. Like I make fun of the place that we live in as if it's a tent. And I say we're setting up every day. And so we get out folding tables to do cold working, and we're just kind of out on a gravel lot. So the piece that's on the screen right now, it's weird because in the photograph, I see the variations in tones in the backdrop, but yet in person, I have yet to find it, whether I hold it up in the sun or against a wall. This is kind of, looking at the outline and the shadows that the bees create. It's kind of just thinking about the, kind of reflecting on some of the introspection that we've had during the past year and how you find yourself. And, mostly, I mean, we found that this past year has been an opportunity for us to start fresh, to kind of like create a fresh slate with the way we work, the way we approach, the relationships, how they unfold or have changed during this time. So this yellow piece, well, I guess they're all kind of yellow. So this, we were playing around with pot melts for the first time, and this to us was fascinating to sit and weigh out gram by gram every different tone that we were going to put in there, and then push the firing cycles to see how those same tones kind of transformed based on the amount maybe one color would strike versus another, and what would show up, and all of these are hand ground with a hand angle grinder, kind of working down the colors and the surfaces down to a polish. All three of the pieces in the show are like that. The one that's on the screen right now is circumscribing. This is kind of a great concept. Jennifer is constantly thinking about bees and listening to stories about bees, reading stories about bees. And in this in particular, we were referencing the bee dancer. And the bee dancer is, she navigates for the rest of the bees behind her. And she feeds off of the angle, and I'm totally going to screw this up because I wish she would say this, but she won't talk right now. But the bees navigate themselves based on the sun. This bee dancer leads all the rest of the bees through safety. So her reflection and the way that the sun hits her wings helps the other bees safely navigate wherever they're flying in response to the sun. So that's kind of why we started with a circle in the center, and it kind of radiates out from that.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. Glad we got through this time. And these are all beautiful works, all available on the site. And I put this detail into the bee because it's just so much fun to see you guys put effort into such detail. It's a beauty.
So real quick on that bee, something that we've recently started playing with is all the legs and the wings. The wing in that piece come out, and they're all on little pipes, a lot like you would see in Lucy Lyon's castings when they're assembled, to stay, so that they can come apart to travel well. In this one in particular, we have little magnets at the end, so the legs are adjustable. You can change the pivot points on them, and it really changes the feel to the way that, how you perceive the feeling of the bee. You do that.
It's very smart, very smart. Also, I'm sure helps in transportation. So that's great. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jennifer. Great to have you.
Thank you.
Jump in, Ross. Will you join us? Got a lot of shouts out today, which is great to hear.
Yeah, wow, that was kind of unexpected, and I'm a little embarrassed. Well, thank you, Aaron, and thank you, everyone. And it's the work is absolutely beautiful. And much like Tim said, every time I look at the show, I pick out different pieces that are my favorites. But to just kind of talk quickly about my work, I've kind of always been a figurative artist, or kind of considered myself a figurative artist. And the last few years that I was doing the figure were, as glass artists, we all know the feeling of struggling. I struggle constantly with what I make, what I can sell, what people are interested in. And it got to a point where I wasn't selling work, and it was disheartening, and I didn't know what I could do to make people like my work, if that's something I can say. And I've worked with a lot of people who work with the animal as imagery, and figurative work can be very specific, but animal imagery, you can sort of generalize a lot of things. And I started making the horse for a number of reasons I won't all go into, but a lot of the work that is in the show are sort of me figuring out how I wanted to portray or make the horse in parts, whether it be a head as a component, the full-on legs and body, a section that you see here. And in going through these processes to see what I felt best getting my point, my view, my image across, I started to realize that they took on these figurative characteristics, and I kind of see the horses now as a figurative object element. I don't necessarily want to make the specific horse, but either capture an emotion, a feeling, a gesture, the flowing lines. That's kind of what I try to have been trying to emote and capture in all of my work, whether it be figurative or animal. So that's kind of what I'm focusing more on now, and a lot of the current work that I'm involved in that isn't in this specific show, but they're actually starting to look like a lot of the figurative busts that I used to make. So they're starting to become, like the piece back here, more reminiscent of some of my earlier pieces that were the figure, the shoulders, the neck, the head. That's basically what I'm doing here with some of the new work. So the horse has been going through this transformation process to kind of get to a feeling that I'm most happy with, and hopefully it kind of translates into the piece and what you see. And hopefully from some of the things I've heard people say, it's working, I guess. So hopefully something good comes about. So just when we were told, I received an email from Aaron about picking 6 favorites and posting it up to sort of help push the show. I picked 6 people that I know well, I love their work, but then much like Tim said, every time I come back, I see somebody different. And one person that I've always felt strongly about is Hiroshi Amano, and I really kind of wanted to give it a shout out to him and his work. It's always, as long as I've known him and his work, I don't know him personally, but the work is just, there's such an elegance to it. The simplistic, it's beautiful to me, and it's not something that I would try to make myself, but every time I see his work, it just resonates with me. The birds, the fish, the butter, the blossoms. So that's, I just wanted to say thank you, Hiroshi, for all that you've done for me. And thank you, Aaron, and thank you, artists.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it, Ross, and it's great to see you on Zoom, and hope to see you again.
Me too. Thank you, Aaron.
Yep. Thomas Barzone, are you here from the Czech Republic? I sent you the link, but if you're not, I can quickly talk about your work. Thomas is a newer artist we discovered in the Czech Republic, and he makes beautiful forms in the style of, casting and carving and polishing. And I just put this piece in case he showed up, but we'll move on, and we have more of his work available on our site. Michael, I know you're around. Come and join us, Michael. I hope you're around. I saw you in your dark space. Maybe you left for a minute, but if you did, I'll briefly go through this, and we'll come back if you show up. So we have.
So hello everybody.
All
No,
right.
I'm unmuted. Could you please switch to the piece which was just purchased the other way? Oh, we even can take this one.
Okay.
So I'm exploring to getting my sculptures. I'm not talking about a specific one, but to getting more sculptural, and I'm trying to release from the material that it also could cast in bronze, or maybe also like Peter has made some works from marble. I think this is very interesting, and I directly want to switch because you were asking that we should pick some pieces or pick some artists. So I've picked like Bertil Wallin, Zora Palova, and Itush Tashima. But when you see, for instance, the work of, can we go to Zora Palova? I think this is real for me. These are also works for me, like I'm working as a sculptor, but I've chosen the material glass for pouring it. But if you take a closer look after this works, you could also work even in another material. So what's a little bit is affecting me, because everybody I know, like here in the show, everybody is working with glass, but sometimes for my taste, it's too close to the material. And this is the reason I've chosen Zora. For instance, if you see these pieces, these are giving me a kind of more sculptural intent. This is the right word, intent of the works. Or if you go to the works from Bertil Wallin. Yes. Also, like if we look at the head and the kind of the ship, this is also one of my favorite works.
Very, very nice.
So, and then to talk a little bit about the process, can we switch to another blue piece? I have another the blue one, which is looking a little bit like a banana.
Let me go on the site because I put it in the presentation. Let me go to your name.
Okay. So for myself, I'm trying to push it to an edge as a sculpture. So like about since 1.5 years, I'm working on some new techniques, and mainly the works this for me is actually a smaller piece. It's just 40 pounds because my arm is injured, so I have a little bit problems really since 1 year. And all the new pieces you are seeing, I'm working in silicon and silicon molds because I don't like wax at all. And so this also really makes a challenge. Like the first 4 months, nearly everything got wrong, but right now we figured it out, and I even can make some more, for me, more expressive and more difficult molds for casting.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. There's
thank you, Aaron.
already on the site, and it's great to see you and great to see your work, my friend.
Great to see you all, and thank you for having me, and it's really nice to seeing you all.
Very true. Kate, are you around?
Here I am.
All right, great to hear you. Great to see you.
Thanks so much for putting the show on and for bringing us all together. It's a really wonderful chance to talk to people. Very much appreciate it. So we've got Golden Wing, which is this piece I'm holding here. This piece, and there's another piece with stainless steel. But this one has silicon bronze edging to it and copper wire with sort of the linkage system that I've developed so these pieces are sort of small studies. I have made some large scale work in this way. So I'm just really experimenting with filling in the blanks between these two very, to me, like working with two lines systems, it's a very linear and graphic solution. And so bringing that graphic idea into 3 dimensions by adding a membrane in between the metal has been kind of exciting for me, because, you know, my regular modus operandi is more like that oleo piece, which is the football shape, where I kind of use Buckminster Fuller's principles to weave things together. And I just wanted to say that, yes, this whole pandemic's been hard on me, and I tend to be wanting to like add a bunch of stuff onto things. So right now I'm sort of merging my jewelry interests, and I miss so much being able to look under the microscope at plankton, which is one of my favorite things when I volunteer at the aquarium, but I haven't been doing that so much lately. And I will give a shout out in a minute, but I just wanted to take this moment to read a poem that Stuart Kestenbaum wrote, was inspired by one of my sea stones. And it's a pretty short poem, but I'll read it. Now, Stuart Kestenbaum used to be the person who oversaw Haystack School of Crafts for many years. And he's a poet, he's a Maine poet laureate, and a fantastic person. So this is what he's written. Gather up whatever is glittering in the gutter, whatever has tumbled in the waves or fallen in flames out of the sky. For it's not only our hearts that are broken, but the heart of the world as well. Stitch it back together. Make a place where the day speaks to the night and the earth speaks to the sky. Whether we've created God or God created us, it all comes down to this. In our imperfect world, we are meant to repair and stitch together what beauty there is. Stitch it with compassion and wire. See how everything we have made gathers the light inside itself and overflows. A blessing. So that's a poem by Stuart Kestenbaum, and I think it sort of speaks to the moment for me. Like, I always try to heal things by bringing them together, and it talks a lot about the work that I do with myself on a consistent basis as well, to try to heal and bring things together. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk, and so great to speak to the community. I wanted to do a few shout outs. I know we've been asked to pick our favorites, and I was in my last group that I haven't done yet. So I'll start by saying that Laura, I'm picking things that speak to me and making and attaching things. So the blue piece of Laura's, I love the way that she can combine the warm and it's cold, you know, like the two types of glasses. Like, I think it's Moretti that you use, Laura, and the blown glass, how she really joins everything together. So then I'd have to say the same about Shelley, like her beautiful horse knife, that piece, how she adds things on. You can see with her bear as well, it's got a few, like the rawhide and the beads there. I love when you can add things in, and then so I'll have to go to Jen Violet's work. Really, I think her new work is phenomenal, especially the Stay Afloat piece with the buoy in it, because it's just such a cheerful, beautiful, symmetrical object with this indicator that, I mean, it all looks sort of calm and peaceful, but ominous black. It's just lovely. Yes, Laura, I love how we love each other too. So, and I'm also speaking a lot about women there. So yeah, I just really love Jen. I grew up on a boat, so I love this new work of Jen's so much. And then a shout out to Ross Richmond too, with his new horse series. I really like that one in the middle. I like the way that it reminds me a lot of, now this is not conceited, I swear, Michelangelo's sculptures, where he would be cutting that he passed before he could finish the sculptures. So there were only things emerging from the marble. So I love how those legs transition into the body of the horse. It's just really fantastic, and you know, evident of the beauty and power in glass. And so thank you very much, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Kate. That was great. I appreciate your taking the time to organize that for us and be part of this today. All right, Tim, I know you're around. Would you unmute yourself and join us?
Hi.
Good to have you. I want to show you. I put this guy in and your beautiful pink piece in too that Laura liked.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Laura. It's very nice to hear that. And I'm sorry you're having difficult times. And yeah, it'd be wonderful to meet you all at some point in the future. It's some incredible work. And it's wonderful. Thank you, Aaron, for including me in the show. This particular piece, actually, Aaron, could you go to the Echoes piece, the solid color?
Yeah.
Just in terms of color, this is what these pieces are all about, in terms of the way that the glass interacts with the light and the fact it's transparent. They're very thick, solid, blown pieces. They're very large scale. I originally started studying architecture before I moved to glass, and I think there's an element of that with the geometry of my work. The sort of circles and the apertures, a lot of that to do with sort of planetary orbits and different ellipses and things like that, which I find sort of very inspiring. And I think the circle is such a universal symbol, isn't it? Total, total, and symbol of a wedding ring. It's got really important meanings throughout various cultures. So it's sort of something that I think I'm very drawn to. And I like that the circles within each other sort of pulls you then through to the middle. But in terms of the color and the fact of the way it works with the light, what I really love about glass is that, well, light excites glass. And it's not just the glow of the piece, it's then how the light's projected out of the piece and sort of the shadows that it creates. And more often than not with these pieces, it's the color that's projecting into its environment that interests me sometimes more than the piece itself. And how if you then have natural light, how it changes throughout the day, and that interaction, that's sort of what I find fascinating about the material, and that's what makes me want to sort of polish these surfaces and create these different optical effects within the glass.
Very, very, very beautiful work. It's much bigger than you think too. It's 32 inches. This is quite a substantial piece. It fools your eye at first until you see them live in person, which we will someday soon, I hope. Well, thank you, Tim. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Aaron.
And then we have Michael. Are you around, Michael?
Yes, I am.
Well, thanks for joining us.
You all online?
We have this one, and this one. So we'll start you wherever you want.
Oh, we can start with that one.
Okay.
I do a lot of drawing, so I'm going to talk a little bit about my technique. I'm using frit powder, which is really finely ground glass, and I'm manipulating it with X-Acto blades or brushes to just kind of make a different density, and then I'll fire that in. And I like being able to do drawings with that and start creating portraiture. And one of the things that are nice about these pieces is that it really kind of gets an emotional quality by having the features in there. And that's what I want to explore in the pieces. The piece that's here with Inner Dimensions, that one is more just about a deconstructing of a portrait where I'm taking it to pieces, and it starts showing how something where I wanted to get a feeling of a person is something a little bit more than you might perceive, that there's some kind of a fracture, a kind of a disconnect. And in the next piece that you have there, if you can go to that, this one is a much larger piece. This is about 40 inches wide by 60 inches tall. So it's a much more imposing component. And I also like the idea that you have a lot of different facets to a person, that even though you might look one way, you actually have a lot of different things going on. And there's a way that you perceive someone as well, that sometimes there's more than just what you see on the surface, that there's things about their age, their race, the gender, all of those kind of things are different levels that you are I'm trying to express in one piece of that different qualities and emotional state. And I just am always amazed at how working with powders, by just moving the few grains of the glass, you have a completely different quality in the piece. And if I'm going to talk about the this piece is As You Woke from Your Dreams, and it was has a dimensional quality as well, where I'm casting elements and then later affixing to the glass so that it has a much stronger dimension to what is a flat panel, or it just gives it a lot more play of the shadow and colors on the drawings. If I'm going to talk about the works in the show, I mean, I do like it, and just maybe going through all the works, it is a thing that you start saying these pieces speak to me more than others. Some of them, like Trina Weintraub's, the little walking bunnies, I think the ones you had is Glimpse or Mosey. I just find them to be very humorous and oddball, and kind of a quirky sense that just makes me connect to them, because it just strikes me as something that I want to explore more as to what the hell's going on. And then there's a humor and the cartoon quality of them. I really respond to that. And I think that Jennifer Caldwell's work with Jason, it's a mutual admiration society, because I just love the graphic quality and how different they portrayed each of those bees. But the one I really like is that center one, which is the outlining our position. I mean, to me, that is such a strong graphic that I love that color. And if Jason is saying that it doesn't have that variety of the tonal quality of the honeycomb, I just think it's such a pretty piece that it really strikes my architectural sensibilities, that I just am saying, oh, I love that one. And that would be my choices if I'm just going to highlight a couple. I could just keep on going and talking about each piece and what makes me think about, but I'm going to just leave it for that.
Thank you, Michael. Beautiful work. This last piece has sold, and we're looking forward to seeing what you make next.
I am going to be working on the Not Your Grandma's Glass show, and that's going to be coming up in a couple weeks.
Right. We have a presentation for him coming up soon for Not Grandma's Glass. Looking forward to it. You and Tony. We'll keep everybody in the loop on that, and we'll have a Zoom for that too. Thank you, Michael. Bachazar, I know you're there. Will you join us?
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Great to have you, my friend.
So great to see everybody. I truly, guys, miss you, and hopefully soon enough we'll be able to get back together and share some good times. And this is the work that I have in a show. It's there are 2-3 different types of work that I've done.
Right, you got this guy, and you have this one.
Yeah, the blue one is a series of pieces that I did only once. They're unique, and I will never repeat those again. It was I decided to try designing them on the computer, so I had to learn a lot of 3D modeling on computer, and it was so difficult. It took me a long time to learn how to move shapes, how to create negative spaces. The whole process was long, but it was a challenge for me, so I wanted to learn how to do that. And I was able to design the work in the computer virtually. Then it was printed 3D, and then molds made from it, and the glass cast in it. So it was kind of a very long and difficult process. But I don't think, I just wanted to do it just to try how it's going to work. But I don't think I'll be doing that again because I like to have the personal touch by hands in the work. And it always shows, just like this piece, you can see it's also kind of geometric form, but it got the softness and the line and the beautiful motion being inside that, so it's not as cold as the other one. So this also the form that you have, the red piece that you showed, it is one of the last series of torsos I did, and this is actually the last torso that I have ever done. And this is the last piece of the whole series. They kind of sold most of them. Anyway, so there were 3 different types of work representing my work, and all I want to do is bring joy and beauty to the world to share with people. About the, that's about my work. You've seen it, and I want to say that for me, it's hard to say also who's my favorite work there. There's so many great works, and I love all the people that they create, and it's their babies. So I cannot separate, and I like this one better, but not that guy. You know, it's like.
Yep, I appreciate you taking the time, Lachazar. That's great. Well,
and I could say, you know, my pieces are my favorites, because I would say every artist would say that. They wouldn't say it on the screen, but it's their babies, you know, it's their creation. That's what they put their hearts into it. So, and there we are.
All right. Thank you, Lachazar, for joining us today. I appreciate it. It's great seeing you and great seeing everybody. For something special, we have a little visit with Alex Bernstein. We've had some inquiries on his new series. So he's going to take over the screen and give us a little bit of a glimpse into a taste into what we're going to get next in his bodies of work. And we're going to be arranging a future private talk between him and I and posting it on social media. Alex, are you there? You take over the screen?
I am here. Can you see my screen?
Nope, we can see you. You got to click on the share screen again and then select your screen so we can see you.
I thought I did that, but I guess I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna have to relaunch this entire thing. Sorry about that.
No worries. I appreciate you all sticking with me for this Zoom. It's great to see everybody's faces and hang out with everybody.
Okay, I'm still, all right, I thought okay, sorry about that, everyone.
We still, there you go. All right, go ahead.
All right.
Feel free to
I practiced like 15 times and still couldn't quite get it fixed. I have a new Macintosh computer and the operating system is different, so it throws me off every time. So thanks for sticking around, and I appreciate everybody's interest in the new work. I know Aaron said we've had lots and lots of people asking, what about this new work? What about Alex's new work? What's it like? And where's it from? What's it about? And so I set out to try to explore what it's about, where it came from, and looking back through images. This is a picture of me right before COVID started. So this is me about a year ago, and I look a lot different now. I'm just kidding. This is me actually. This is me 20 years ago. So I was thinking about the new work I'm making, and this piece is very much related to it. It is called Solid Motion. So if you see, can you see my pointer, everybody?
Yep, we can.
Okay. So if you see, this is I was really interested in the structure of glass, that this is almost like bricks stacked together in this rigid structure with the flow of glass. So you can see the other part flows. So this contradiction in hard and soft and smooth and rough. So you can see the structure here, and then how the glass has this amazing ability to flow. Again, this piece is called Solid Motion, and it's about 20 years old. This actually, I brought this up because this was the first, or one of the first pieces that I ever showed at the Habitat International. I think this was about 18 years ago. Same idea, you can see these blocks and then almost like clouds floating up. I was really interested in this idea that glass can be hard, but yet be almost like clouds floating up and be light as air. Again, I'm showing you this to show you how I got to the new work I've been working on. Which my new work maybe seems like it's totally out of left field, but it kind of comes from this space. This is another, actually, thank you, Aaron. Aaron put this image together. So this is much newer. This is about 10 years old. So we started 20 years ago, 18 years ago, and this is 10 years ago. Because when I explore a series, I might go off and do other things and then come back to a series later. It's like driving to work. You go the same way every time, and then all of a sudden you find a different way to go. It doesn't mean you won't still go back that original way. So I tend to work in series and then I'll go back and forth. So this is, again, probably 10 years old, and the work before that was maybe 20 years old. This is 3 or 4 years old. So you can see the same kind of idea of the structure and then a flow. And obviously at these, I introduced color. And this kind of started, some of you are familiar with the groupings I'm doing, the installations where maybe there's a triptych like this, or I've done ones where there was 20 different, Aaron, you guys have the big clear one, 23 different elements all grouped together. So this was kind of a start with that. This is another reason for the new work. I tend to react to whatever situation I have. At one point I had a studio with no kilns working, so I started just carving glass that I had around. This was another situation where what you're looking at is about 20,000 pounds of raw material of the casting glass that I purchased. The reason I got this is I had one commission. Aaron, I think, knows a little bit of the story. It is a long story. And as Aaron was saying, or I believe he said that we'll probably do a little bit of a longer Zoom talk with the different explanations and different work that I have been doing. But this basically, I had a commission, and where I got the glass, they weren't really responding. And the only way I was able to get enough glass just for a commission, I had to order 20,000 pounds because that's the only way this place responded to my inquiries to get more glass. So I ended up with 20,000 pounds, and this is 20,000 pounds of opportunities for me. It's just like so many more elements and tools that I can use. This is the raw material, and the glass came in a different form. So I tried to use that different form, and they're more like blocks, and I wasn't accustomed to getting these blocks. So I started to, similar to the other one with the structure and the flow of taking the blocks and fusing those together. So this is a stack series that I think was made within the last year or so. Another stack series. And I wanted to really try to push these and kind of open them up. So the next piece is part of the newer work of opening these stack up. And what I'm thinking about here is kind of landscapes, rivers and lakes. And most of you probably recognize the Bernstein technique or the steel. And I tend to use that on some work and not on everything. It's, you know, it's like a poet that has a vocabulary that they use. I feel like I've spent my whole career developing a visual vocabulary to express or talk about my work. My visual vocabulary being my techniques like texture, color, form. So throughout my career, I think I've developed this language. So this is an expression of that with using some familiar pieces and some not as familiar. This is another one with using these interior lines and the exterior lines with a repetition of line. I feel like you can get a rhythm, and with that rhythm, you can get a harmony. To me, again, this was, I'm thinking of shimmering lakes and of water, kind of an abstract landscape. This is a detail, like the other work with the lines that were flowing. I was able to, with this work, able to control the lines a little more. And to me, this is almost like a little portal that you can go through. So again, this is the detail of this piece and being able to control these lines. And that, to me, almost shows us passing of time, like going from one side to the other side of the piece. Here's another version of that. To me, they start looking architectural, almost like a cathedral. With this kind of structure of building, which is interesting because my wife and I just bought and renovated a house during COVID, which was a very difficult and challenging thing to do. And these pieces actually look very structural, and maybe that's part of my renovation leaked into my artwork a little bit. This is another one, again, abstract work, but to me, I think my dad actually said, "Oh, it reminds me of a really nice menorah." But to me, again, I was thinking shimmery water. This also almost looks like some sort of musical instrument. But again, taking that structure of melting these blocks of glass together. Another version, and again, it's a little hard, you know, usually when we have opening a show, you guys get to walk around it and we get to talk and we get to have wine, and it's like, I feel like I'm missing my family because I'm not able to be around everyone. So, this is just a studio shot, a little bit to kind of show you what the work looks just in the studio. All the images I've been taking nowadays are actually, this is what taken with my cell phone. So this is actually this image. So I'm using this guy, Dan Fox. And actually the first picture, Aaron, that I showed where I was standing next to that sculpture was taken by Dan Fox 20 years ago. So I've been working with him for 20 years.
Great.
This is another probably one of my favorites. Again, it has kind of this grace and this harmony, and I think that's brought with the different lines. And again, this is the same thing that excuse my dirty windows in the background. And this was just this was actually yesterday when I left. I just posted this picture on Instagram. I just want to take a little time, and again, kind of like everyone else, I don't know if I really feel comfortable picking a favorite. All I know is every time I see the work of my friends and other artists, I feel no competition at all, just inspiration. I'm surrounded by so many incredibly talented works and artists and friends that it's just amazing. And I'm taking just a little time to, obviously COVID's taught us a lot, and just really trying to be more thankful and thoughtful. And as I was leaving my studio yesterday going, wow, what an amazing, beautiful material that I get to work with. And it's actually been really cold and gray, and the sun came out and I was like, wow, this feels really nice. I don't know if you can see over here, see this rainbow of colors. I mean, this image wasn't manipulated. I think all the artists that are here today would agree that that we're really lucky to be able to work with such an amazing magical material. And so I feel incredibly lucky. And Aaron, I feel really thankful and lucky and happy to be here. And so thanks so much for taking the time. And thank you everybody for your interest in watching my new work evolve and grow. It's really the exploration of new ideas is what drives my passion. And most people that know me, I'm a fairly passionate person to a fault, but it's really been fun and exciting. I appreciate people bearing with me and watching me grow throughout this. I miss everyone.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Alex. That was a great depth jump into your work, and I look forward to doing the longer presentation with you soon. We're over time by a lot, so I wanted to make sure I caught all the artists that are here. Did anybody show up that I didn't put something on the screen for? I believe I had all the SVPs in order. So I believe that's a yes. We're all set now. I appreciate you. Next week, we're going to be visiting with Kathleen Elliott. We have a great release of her work coming up for a 6-week exhibition where she's releasing new bodies of work each week. So we'll be updating you guys on that as of next week. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm super honored to have you all. It is an honor to have you all. And I appreciate you joining me every week because, you know, the Zoom thing keeps working, and I'm grateful that we're able to reach out and touch each other in this digital way. Thank you again, everybody. Feel free to unmute yourself and say goodbye and all the usuals.
Thank you, Fantastic.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Aaron. Great to see everybody.
Thank
See you all for sure.
Thanks, Aaron. Goodbye, guys.
Be well. Enjoy the rest
so
of your
much.
weekend.
Take care, family.
Yes.
Good seeing you, Ferb.
Good luck,
Laura.
As always.
All right, guys. Be well. Have a great day.